The Childhood of Jesus. Chapter 215. In Hoc Signo Vinces. After this heavenly meal on top of the little mountain, Joseph said to the little child, "My Lord and my God, I, a poor old man, beseech you, forgive me if I have no doubt offended you, and come back into the house again with me, for without you I can never go back, and if I do go back without you, every one will turn against me quite bitterly, and will punish me with hard words." Here the little child answered, "Yes, yes, I will of course go with you, for here I shall not set up a place and remain. But one thing I require of you, and that is that you take this my table upon your shoulders and carry it homeward ahead of me, and do not shrink from its burden, for while it will indeed press on you a bit, it will not bend you nor weaken you in the least." At these words Joseph took the beautiful cross, while James took the leftovers from the meal, and thus they started on the way back with the little child in the middle. After a while Joseph said to the little child, "Listen, my dearly beloved Jesus, the cross is heavy after all. Can we not rest a bit?" And the little child answered, "You have already carried greater burdens as a carpenter, which I did not lay upon you. And behold, there you would not grant yourself a rest until you carried your burden to its destination. Now you are carrying only a little burden for me for the first time, and already want to rest after 1,000 steps. Oh, Joseph, carry my little burden without rest, and you will find a fitting reward in my kingdom. See, through this cross you will become aware of my burden, and it will tell you by its small weight what I am to you in the world. And when you will leave this world in my arms, then this cross will become a fiery wagon of Elias to you, in which you will ascend before me in greatest joy." After these words the aged Joseph kissed the fairly heavy cross, and carried it onward without rest, and it did not seem nearly as heavy to him any more, so that he brought it all the way to the villa quite easily. In the meantime every one in the villa was in a state of highest expectancy, and filled with great concern, wondering from which direction Joseph might return with the little child and with James. And when Mary, Cyrenius, and the others finally caught sight of the approaching three, they lost all restraint. Every one ran towards them with open arms, and Mary at once seized the little child and pressed him to her heart with convulsive love. But Cyrenius was surprised that Joseph would carry a gallows as the symbol of the greatest degradation and shame home on his shoulders. And the little child upon the mother's arms sat up and said to Cyrenius, "Truly, truly, this symbol of the greatest degradation will become a symbol of the highest honor. If you are not going to carry it after me in this manner, as Joseph now carries it, you will not enter into my kingdom in the future." These words brought Cyrenius to silence, and he asked no more about Joseph's burden. Chapter 216. The Way of the Lord with the Pagans. And they all went back into the house, where they took place at the table according to the will of the little child. For not one of the leading guests had eaten a bite, and the 3 large fish still lay there almost untouched. And since several hours had passed while the little child was being sought and evening was approaching, the fish naturally became cold, in which state the Jews were usually not permitted to eat them. But as the sun had not set, it was still permissible to eat the fish, only it was required that they be reheated and thoroughly warmed up. Therefore Joseph immediately called his 4 cooks and ordered them to reheat the fish. Here the little child said, "Joseph, that is not necessary, for from now on the fish may also be eaten cold, if only they have been fried before that. So instead of frying them again, have lemons and fresh oil brought, and the fish will taste better that way than if they were refried." Joseph promptly followed the advice of the little child, and had a whole basket of lemons and a large container of fresh oil brought. At this all the guests became desirous for this new fare, wondering just how it would taste. Cyrenius was the first who took a sizable piece of fish for himself and put oil and the juice of the lemon on it. And as he began to eat he could not give enough praise to the wonderful flavor of the thus prepared fish. At this experience of the governor the other guests also helped themselves, and they all found this fare to have such excellent taste that they also could not find sufficient words of praise. When Joseph had made a test of a sizable portion of fish himself, he asserted, "Truly, if Moses had ever partaken of a thus prepared fish, he surely would have put this food on his fare also. But he just must not have been as well informed as concerns the art of cooking than you, my dearest Jesus." Here the little child smiled cordially and said in a very friendly way, "My dear Father Joseph, the reason lies in this. With Moses in the desert the rule was, hunger is the best cook, and the people would often have eaten raw meat out of hunger and met their death. Therefore Moses had to prescribe his fare, and the foods had to be eaten fresh and warm. But now the rule is and will always continue to be, the Lord is the best cook, and there one can also enjoy a cold fish with lemon and oil. And that is because the cold but still well-fried fish represents the state of the pagans. The lemon juice represents my power, which harmonizes and pulls them together, and the oil represents my word to them. Now do you understand why the fish tastes better this way?" All were deeply affected of this, and were greatly surprised at the wisdom of the little child. Chapter 217. A lesson in geometry. When all had stilled their hunger with the cold fish, they arose, thanked Joseph for this good meal, and then went out into the open, for the sun was still above the horizon. When most of the guests from Cyrenius' company had gone outside, the little child asked him, "Cyrenius, do you not recall what you asked me out there at the scene of the fire, when I praised the fish of the Mediterranean for their quality and fine taste?" Here Cyrenius considered a bit, but could not remember his question. He therefore said to the little child, "Oh, my lord, my life, forgive me. I must confess before you that I have completely forgotten it." Here the little child smiled again, and full of gentleness reminded the somewhat embarrassed Cyrenius, "Did you not ask me whether the Mediterranean is the middle of the land? I then referred you to the small earth globe at which you were to look and decide for yourself whether this sea is really in the middle of the land. See, now would surely be the best time to settle this matter. So take the little earth in your hand and find the answer to your question." And Cyrenius replied, "Yes, by my poor soul, this I surely would have completely forgotten if you, O Lord, had not reminded me of it now." Here James at once sprang into the side chamber and brought the little earth to Cyrenius, who then promptly sought and soon found the Mediterranean. And as he pointed to the Mediterranean with his finger, the little child asked him, "Cyrenius, is this really the middle of the land, or how does the matter seem to you?" Cyrenius answered, "I dare say that I am good at figures according to Euclid and Ptolemy, and therefore know from the geometry of spheres that on the surface of a ball every given point is the middle of the surface, because in the first place each point is precisely the same distance from the center of the ball, and secondly because all lines going out from it to its corresponding point on the opposite side of the ball are of the same curvature and length. According to this basic axiom, it follows that this sea can be named the Mediterranean. But on the other hand, I also find that every sea is in the same category and can be a sea in the middle just as well." And the little child rejoined, Therein you are quite right, but for all that the principles of Euclid still do not apply here, and this sea can still be called the sea in the middle exclusively, for wherever the Lord is, there also is the true middle. And behold, the Lord is now here by this sea, and therefore the middle of the sea is also here. That is a different computation of which Euclid did not dream, and it is more correct than his. This explanation greatly alerted Cyrenius, and he continued to study the globe.